When you think of catchers, you think defense, high baseball IQ, and usually becoming managers post their playing career. Yeah, you always have your hitters like Pudge, Piazza, Bench, and others that you think of. But what about catchers who also stole bases? A man who stole 189 bases in his career, which places him second all-time for catchers in the most post-dead ball era, which is post-1920. This individual played for 15 seasons almost exclusively at catcher, where he averaged 139 games a season and was the leadoff hitter for 438 games in his career. He was an extra base machine for a catcher. He finished his career in the top 15 in most offensive statistical categories, as well as top 20 all-time in WAR at the catcher position with 41.7. My friends, this is the story of Jason Kendall, the catcher and the thief. Jason was born June 26, 1974, and was born to play catcher. Well, bloodline-wise, that is, as his father Fred played in the majors for 12 seasons. In high school, he attended Torrance High in California, where he tied the national high school record with 43 consecutive games with a hit. He was highly touted. In 1992, he was drafted 23rd overall to Pittsburgh. He only spent 3 years in the minors, as he was constantly moving up the farm each season, where he was hitting almost 300 on average through each of those seasons and was consistent behind the plate as well. In 1996, Jason made the opening day roster and was probably the best hitter on the Pirates, as he led the team in average with 300 and OBP with 372. This was also the start of the Pirates turning things around, I guess you can say, post losing Barry Bonds, as they finished 73 and 89 after 2 years in a row with sub 60 wins. Jason was selected to an All-Star game as well, and finished third in Rookie of the Year voting behind Todd Hollandsworth and Edgar Renteria. My opinion is I think he probably should have finished second in Rookie of the Year voting, but I'm also biased as I'm doing this video on him. In year 2, Kendall was improving, and while his accolades may not have been there as the year before, he was becoming an amazing asset to the Pirates. And this is the season where he started to become the thief, as he racked up 18 steals this season while only being caught 6 times. Jason hit .294, .391, and .434 for a slash line for 8 homers and 49 batted in. For his third season, Jason returned to an All-Star game and had his best full season of his career, as he went .327, .411, and .473 for a slash line this year as a catcher, I mind you. He added 26 stolen bases and was only caught 5 times. He knocked in 75 runs and also hit 12 homers. He also led the league in hit by pitches with 31. Oh, did I mention that Jason didn't wear batting gloves? In his whole career, he would be hit 254 times, which is 5th all time. In 1999, unfortunately, his season would be cut short on July 4th against the Milwaukee Brewers, where he dislocated his ankle trying to beat out a bunt. I lead with this as he wasn't selected to an All-Star game with these first half numbers. In 78 games played, he had 93 hits, 20 doubles, 3 triples, 8 home runs, and had knocked in 41 runs. He was also 22 out of 25 on steals and was batting .332, .428, .511 slash line. He also had a WAR of 4.1, and for argument's sake, let's just double this for round easy number counting. And I say double because he played roughly 147 games a season during his tenure with the Pirates, excluding the season. So, in what would have been 156 games, give or take, he would have had almost 200 hits, 40 doubles, 6 triples, 16 homers, and 80 runs batted in, and let's just say for ease of use, he gets 40 stolen bases. And let's say his slash line stays close to what it was, as it wasn't far off what he'd been doing either. I personally think he gets votes for MVP, maybe top 10, top 15 at worst. But this was also another one of those weird seasons for MVP voting, as the late 90s tended to be. Like I've said, I am biased, but personally I think if Jason doesn't get hurt here, he does end up with some accolades, and maybe Pittsburgh has its first winning season since 1992 and breaks up the losing streak that would go on to be 20 seasons. In 2000, Jason would go on to earn his last of 3 All-Star appearances And it would be his second best full season, batting .320, .412, .470 with 185 hits, 33 doubles, 6 triples, and 14 home runs, which would be his career best, 58 runs batted in with 22 steals. He would also go on to hit for the cycle on May 19th against the St. Louis Cardinals. At season's end, Jason would go on to sign a 6-year, $60 million extension, which made him the second highest paid catcher behind Mike Piazza. From 2001 through 2004, he continued to have good numbers as he averaged 150 games, 172 hits, 27 doubles, 2 triples, 6 homers, and knock in 52 runs each season. He also would average about 12 steals a season. His slash line during that time was a .298, .371, and .380. And as he aged, his average in steals did start to drop as the amount of games on catchers tend to, really wear and tear and take its toll on them. But his OPS plus was still at a 96, which was really good for a catcher. And he also walked way more than he struck out. After the 2004 season, Jason was traded to the A's for Mark Redmond, who was terrible for the Pirates and only played there for one season. Arthur Rhodes was also terrible for the Pirates in his one and only season with them. And Cash, which was probably the best get besides getting out of the contract for the Pirates, which I'm sure they spent the money like they always do. They didn't. For the A's, they got 2.5 years and $35 million with a 7.8 WAR out of Jason. They basically got $4.5 million per WAR, which sounds like a lot for the A's, but this was back when they were competing, unlike now, and they were in the hunt for the playoffs every year, especially in the AL West division. In his 2 full seasons with the A's, he hit .283, .355, and .331 for slash lines with 293 games played. He had 326 hits, 51 doubles, but only 1 home run and 103 runs batted in. He did steal 19 bags to boot. However, in 2007, Jason was abysmal and was not helping the offense out at all. He was hitting .226, .261, and .281 slash line and would be traded to the Cubs for another catcher in Rob Bowen, who only played 58 games in 2 seasons with the A's and was not good and never made another MLB game after 2008. The A's also got Dre Blevins, who ended up playing 6 full seasons with the club and was really solid out of the bullpen. For the Cubs, they got Kendall, and he got back on track, sort of, with a slash line of .270, .362, and .356, as the Cubs would go on to win the NL Central. In my opinion, though, the A's definitely won this trade for what it's worth. After the season, the now 34-year-old Kendall signed a 1-year deal with an option for the following year with the Milwaukee Brewers. He did end up meeting the requirements and end up picking up the second season as he had to make 110 starts. And with the Brewers, while they made the playoffs in 2008 thanks to CC Sabathia, a trade I did kind of cover in a different video, look up the player to be named later, he wasn't as much help on the opposite side of the plate, but he did throw 40% of all base runners on the defensive side of the plate. And then on May 18th, 2009, Jason recorded his 2000th hit, becoming only the 8th catcher all-time to hit this milestone. And then with the Brewers, he also hit .244, .329, .315, and played 285 games with 236 hits, 49 doubles, 4 triples and homers, and knocking in 92 runs. He also stole 15 bases as a catcher. Keep in mind, this is in his mid-30s in those 2 seasons. However, this was not enough for the Brewers to bring him back, as he was old and they had a young Jonathan Lucroy in the wings. For the 2010 season, Kendall would sign with the Royals, and he had an okay year as a 36-year-old catcher with a lot of wear and tear on his body. Unfortunately, this wear and tear ended up costing him his career in a sense, as he had a massive rotator cuff tear and would go on to miss all of 2011. He did re-sign with the Royals on a minor league deal, but he only ended up playing 2 games in the minors before retiring. With the Royals, he hit .256, .318, and .297, where he had 111 hits, 18 doubles, 0 homers, and knocked in 37 runs. He also, as a 36-year-old, stole 12 bases, which is quite impressive, but he did get caught 7 times. And after retiring, Jason would go on to spend 7 years as an assistant for special assignments coach and earn his first World Series ring. In 2022, the Pirates would call him, and he would go on to serve as the player development role. He also has a book he wrote in 2014 with Lee Judge called Throwback, a big league catcher tells how the game is really played. So, with all this being said, is Jason Kendall a Hall of Famer? No, probably not even by Veterans Committee standards. However, I feel like he is really forgotten by the public for just how durable and tough he was. Jason was extremely passionate about the game, and on more than one occasion was involved in multiple bench clearing brawls. And he only missed 345 games in his 15-year career at one of the toughest positions in the game. And like I said, one of them was a broken ankle, and the other one was a torn rotator cuff. And as I said in the intro, he is in the top 10 to 15 in many categories for players who were catchers. Well, when he retired at least. For his career, Jason hit 288, 366, and 378. He had 2,195 hits, 394 doubles, 35 triples, 75 home runs, 744 runs batted in, and 189 steals, with a career 95 OPS plus. Jason will probably go down as the best and last great thief from the catcher position. Thanks for watching, and I hope if you've made it this far, you really did enjoy the video and enjoy this kind of content. My goal is to keep pushing out videos of players like Jason Kendall, Jaime Garcia, etc. I think my next video I'm going to do Matt Latos, really interesting career, very similar to Jaime Garcia, but yeah, thanks for watching.